The idea of it is that a player only has one family. Our job is to make sure that we're peers, and I was a baseball player and he's a baseball player, you don't look at age, you look at information. And our job is to give him information, share information, treat him as such. We're not authority figures, we're people that help him in his decision making, help him with his process, both in performance and in his business decisions. So we're very different than a parent, yes.
What is the most difficult part for being a sport agent?
Well, at times, obviously, it's when the players are going through difficult performance moments. And also, you have to make huge decisions, multi-million-dollar decisions about whether to accept or turn down contracts to get players' values. But the most difficult part of the job is to get a player to be optimal. We have conditioning, we have nutrition, we have performance parameters, a player's psychology, but really getting to compete well with the game, that to me is the most challenging part of representing a player.
You have another Mexican clients like Oliver Perez, now Julio Urias, and who else?
Well, you know, we've been fortunate, I think, because we're very selective about our clientele, but the Mexican players that we have had long-standing careers, and we're looking for the same with Julio. And I think it's very difficult for Mexican players to get to the major leagues because of the contract structure in Mexico, because they're under contract with the local teams, and the American teams have to buy them, so they don't have a draft. So there'd be a lot more Mexican players in the major leagues, but for that structure, and hopefully over time we can work out a better system where young Mexican players have access to the teams like Dominicans or Venezuelans do, and the burden of having to pay an intermediary, and that is the Mexican teams, that's eliminated so that the families in Mexico and the players in Mexico will have immediate major league opportunities.
You are talking about a very important topic, the Mexican contracts. We know that with the money that one team in Major League has, maybe they have a $300,000, and for a Mexican player, the organizations in the Mexican clubs wants, I don't know, maybe $500,000, and with that $300,000, the clubs in Dominican Republic, in Venezuela, can buy 3 or 4 players. Is what we're talking about?
Well, the truth is that from the player's perspective, that the teams in Mexico acquire rights over the players at a very young age for little or no money. Then when the American teams want to buy the player, the Mexican teams can do so at their discretion. The player has no decision making. He has no rights. While in Dominican or Venezuela or a lot of the Latin American countries, the player has the right to sign or not sign. But under the treaty, the Mexican teams have control over the player rights, and I think it's very disserving to the Mexican culture, to the Mexican players individually, and that we really need a new structure where Mexican players are free. And if they want to come here and play, fine. If they want to sign with the Mexican teams, that's fine too. So they should have that choice, and they should have that choice for a period of time. And I'm hopeful that the new Mexican government can see that these players should have that right and advance here. And I think you'll see more Mexican major leaguers because of it.
Yeah, we want to. What do you recommend for all the parents, all the fathers and mothers that have a prospects? Maybe their kids could be a big prospect in baseball.
Well, use a bat and ball instead of a soccer ball.
No, I don't think so.
And no, I think that in the Dominican and Venezuela, in Japan, Korea, the prominent sport there is baseball. And you're seeing a lot more baseball players aspire to come to the States. Well, in Mexico, I think the most prominent sport is soccer, and everyone plays. And there's nothing wrong with playing soccer. It's just that there'd be more Mexican baseball players if there was incentive for the player. In soccer, those same players can go sign internationally, and they have freedom to sign whatever they want. So it's really the structure that's preventing many great young Mexican athletes from choosing baseball, because they know that they're immediately captives of the Mexican teams and they don't have the rights. The soccer players have rights to go elsewhere. So it's something that among the sports that if they had the same liberalness in the ability to contract, I think you'd see a lot more baseball players than soccer players.
Yeah, we want to see more baseball players because in Mexico we have the talent. So we have to make something. And what do you think about the percentage about the when the Mexican team make a contract with MLB team, and for the player, when they sold the player, only the 25% or the 30% it's going to the player, and all the 65% is for the Mexican club?
Well, again, you understand why players are playing soccer, because the players who are playing soccer get to keep the full amount of money they sign for. Like, Mexico is the only country that has a structure like that. In other countries, the players receive the money, not the team, and the players have the freedom to sign with any team. And so the Mexican government really needs to set up a structure like the Dominican and the Venezuelan governments have, so the families and the players really have the freedom to do what they want to do and choose the sport and choose who they play for.